Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're talking about the game Sunkenland, and I had put this in my wish list about 6 months ago, and when I did my wish list video a few months ago, this game was mentioned a few times when I went through the list. I want to tell you today is Tarkus is going to pass on this game. It is not the game I thought it was going to be. I mean, I did read all the information about the game prior to adding it to my wish list, but what gets me about the game is two major factors that are a problem for me. One being non-dedicated servers. They didn't produce that. It can hold maybe 5 people before it crashes, and the fact that it's only first-person view. It's not third-person view. And when you watch their video that they provide for you here to tell you about their game, you would assume that there's a third-person view. There is not. It's all first person, which I don't really like about games, that they don't give you that option. The other big issue I have with the game, that it currently doesn't have a story. So it's really just going around and scavenging things, building your base, which I love to do. You guys know I love building bases. So it's just building your bases and interacting with pirates that are around the world. But there's no feeling of accomplishment other than the fact that you're fighting pirates, killing pirates, salvaging things, and building your home. So there's no real big storyline. The fact that it only can hold 5 people and it's peer to peer, and you guys know that I really hate that. So basically this is a single player game for me, because I'm not going to connect peer to peer with people. That's just not going to happen. And so it's a single player game with no storyline. It doesn't make really sense to me to pick it up at this particular time. Now, I did watch on Discord people playing the game. They had it on live. They were streaming it. And I was watching this one person play. For the 20 minutes I watched the person play, it was like torture. It was like going to the surface, getting your air, going down, picking some stuff up, going to the surface, going down, managing your oxygen. And it seems like that really wasn't managed all that well, because, it just seemed like that's 90% of the game was them swimming up and down. And, and 10% of the game was actually physically doing something when you got to the bottom of the water. Now, this is like Waterworld, everything's underwater. The other big problem with the game is the key binding. I guess the key binding lacks key binding. So if you don't like where the keys are, you're stuck with them. There's nothing you can do about it. And I read some of the reviews, and it's got a mixed review. Even those people that gave it a thumbs up even had negative things to say, but they still gave it a thumbs up to give props to the game, because I guess they enjoy it. And in 2 of the reviews, I don't consider reviews, because they got the game for free. These two individuals got this game for free, and of course they're going to review it with positive reviews. But with that said, if you read the positive reviews, they kind of talk about the non-binding, some of the clear issues the game has, and then you've got those people that gave it a thumbs down for the reasons in which, like I said, it needs a lot of work. It's missing a lot of aspects that a survival game should have. I guess even the thirst and food mechanism isn't working all that well. And this game needs a lot of marinating. But even if it marinated to the best marination it could be, this is still a hard pass for me. Unless they could get dedicated servers, unless the multiplayer aspect could be higher than 5, because that to me is just not enough people to play a game like this. It would have to have a real robust story and maybe bring in PvP. I mean, that's what I thought this game was going to have, was a little PvP, and that would give you the overplay, like the constant willing to want to play if it had PvP. I'm not saying that every game should be PvP, folks. I don't like there's not a lot of games that I'd like to have PvP, but this game, because of all the things it's lacking, I thought the one thing it would finally have was PvP, because that would at least give you something to do. Well, the lackluster things got fixed, and the lackluster things got added. It's a hard pass. Even at $16, I think that it's just too much money. And these people are saying that in the reviews. Not worth $16, not worth $16. Co-op doesn't work, and they say it's a full game. It's like Waterworld movie, but the interaction sucks. This person needed more work before even being thrown out to the market. Could be good in the future. Definitely not worth $16. Gave it a few months to cook, this person writes. I don't think even a few months. I mean, they had all the time in the world to get this right. I mean, I think they even extended the release of this game. It's just that they didn't package it right. They didn't package it. It's not a true survival game. Just because you add food and water to your game and oxygen, every survival game has that. What are you actually doing in your survival game other than just scavenging things, staying alive, and building your structure and fighting against random player NPCs? I mean, I just don't find that fun. I mean, that's just not my stick. And I thought this game was going to have a lot more to it when it released. They do compare the game to Raft. They compare it to Rust. And go play those two games. Those two games are well polished, and it's got a player base, right? I mean, that's the online co-op is a peer-to-peer co-op. You have to actually invite your friends. They got to connect to the boxes and separate boxes and whatnot. The customization was another thing that somebody was complaining about. It's really baby steps into customization of your character. It's not really that flushed out all that well. Some of these screenshots that they got up here are some amazing screenshots, but basically watching that guy play for 20 minutes, I'm thinking that it's a full-time job if you wanted to build something like this. I mean, you're talking having to swim around for probably a long time, and there are boats and whatnot that you can salvage and find, or even, I imagine, build in the game. It's just that the question being is, how long will you get bored if you just jumped into an aquarium and swam around an aquarium for an hour? I mean, how much more enjoyment are you going to have after that? I mean, you get an hour's worth of swimming around an aquarium. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? What is it that we're actually doing here? And it just doesn't seem to be my cup of tea. And I was having high hopes for this game, and that they were going to be, even the swimming on the surface. I mean, you just saw it. This looks clunky as hell. There's no waves coming off you. When you swim, Michael Phelps swims, you could see a wake coming behind him. When you swim in this game, it doesn't seem like the water actually reacts. So I don't know. I mean, if this is your kind of game, sure, maybe I'll look back at it in 6 months. But I mean, there are some major games coming out very shortly, so I don't even think this is ever going to. I'm going to be removing it from my wish list right now, and I really don't think I'll ever look at it again. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and this has been the Tarkus Zone.